Hi, I'd like to welcome you to the St. Aidan's Institute course on Anglican history. Now, as part of your foundation courses at the beginning of your time in the Institute, you took a course on Christian history, where we started with the Apostolic Church and went through the major movements of Christian history for the last 2,000 years. And it was a really good introductory course on the grand sweep of all of Christianity. This course is going to feel like it's moving as fast, but our focus is going to be much more specific, and it's going to be on the history of Anglicanism, primarily in the British Isles, but we'll go beyond that at the end of the course. So the reason we take this class is to get a better feeling of our heritage. You were in the parish, in the Holy Living course, where you got to read Martin Thornton and got a feel for some of the uniqueness of Anglicanism and the undercurrent of Benedictine spirituality that really underpins Anglican identity. But what we're going to, and that's an important piece, but in this class we're going to look at a broader sweep, and you'll see how the ideas of Thornton play out actually through a lot of this history. So getting a better feel for our heritage and where we come from will not only contribute to your understanding of the uniqueness of Anglicanism, but I believe, especially with reading the Mormon book, I believe you'll come out encouraged, because when I first read the Mormon book before I officially even became an Anglican, one of the things that struck me was how many times it seemed like the church in England was going to die. How many times it was either going to be destroyed, fall apart, crumble from within, and how every time that happened, it then sparked new life. And as we live in the beginning of the 21st century and see certainly the collapse of American Anglicanism and the attempts at revival with the Anglican Church in North America, you can see that this pattern is really repeating. There's a saying from a science fiction show I was a big fan of about 10 years ago, where there was a line they would constantly repeat that said, all of this has happened before and all of this has happened again. There's also kind of the pop culture sign that saying that says, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think if you read Mormon with kind of that broad scope in mind, you're going to see just how much Anglicanism is able to revive itself every time it looks like it's facing extinction. So this first week, though, we're going to look at some of the key players at the founding of the church in England. And in your first question, you're going to look at somebody in particular, either Bede, Cuthbert, Alban, Augustine of Canterbury. That's not St. Augustine, the Bishop of Hippo, who wrote the City of God and Confessions. Augustine of Canterbury was the first Archbishop of Canterbury. And if there's somebody else you read this week you really want to use, you can do a write-up on somebody else as well. None of these people all really lived in the same time period. They're spread out a little bit in the early years, but they all played vital roles in the formation of the church in the British Isles. And so just getting a feel for a few of these people, I think, is going to be really helpful for us. The second question of this week is a negative. We're going to look at one of the great heretics of the faith, Pelagius. Now, he came from England, left, and then never went back, but Pelagianism and the heresy that he taught was almost the doctrine of the church at one point. Was so widely accepted, was later deemed heretical, and when you read it and understand what he's saying, you're going to be in shock, because Pelagianism is very much alive and well in Christianity today, especially in the West, but it's under a different name. So see if you can identify what it is about his belief that has crept back in to certain circles of churches, because it's going to be important for us to understand it so that we can counter it with an orthodox understanding of what the faith is all about. So you'll do a little digging there, but I think this will be really a fascinating lesson to see that. You're also going to notice as we start off, our reading is going to be a little bit light the first couple of weeks, and the reason is we'll get through the early foundational stuff a little more quickly. We want to take a lot more time when we come to the English Reformation and understanding all the changes that took place during the time of Henry VIII and Edward and Mary and Elizabeth, because getting a feel for that will help you understand a lot about the prayer book and understand a lot about Anglicanism as it really emerged post-Reformation era. So we'll go through the early church stuff a little more quickly, and then we'll pace ourselves more carefully when we get to some of the key moments in the formation of what we today call the Via Media, or the middle path of Anglicanism, as it charts its own way between Catholicism on one side and Protestantism on the other. So don't think this is going to be one of these boring history courses where our focus is on names and dates. This is going to be a lot more intriguing and a lot more relevant to the kinds of things we're dealing with in our parishes than you may first think. So enjoy the read, enjoy the class, and I'll see you in the classroom. God bless you.